Hi, it's Emma again, Love from Yoga. How you doing? I'm not sure who's tuned in today, but welcome. I thought I'd put a few 10-minute little kind of yoga teeny weeny workshops in here just for anyone who is wanting just to work a little bit more deeply into a few poses that we do in class. And the first one that comes up, believe it or not, I mean, it's such a surprise, is crow or crane. There's this thing, it's called crow, but actually what we practice is this crow and this crane. One of them has got straight arms and one of them has got bent arms. Obviously the straight arm one is much more advanced. So we've got kakasana and bakasana. I remember that a crow goes kaka, kaka, but it doesn't really matter, they get mixed up, but a rose by any other name would smell as sweet, and therefore a crow pose by any other name would be as lovely. So just to remind you what the pose is, I'll come into it now and then you can go, oh yeah, that's the one. You can either tune in or you can go and do something else instead, like make yourself a nice cup of tea. So the crow pose is a pose where you're pulling your Uddiyana Bandha or your belly muscles in. It's an arm balance. And the knees, so in the true Ashtanga version of the pose, the knees come right onto the triceps, which is a little bit more tricky. So lots of teachers tend to teach it is that you aim up for your back of your shoulders or your armpits. In reality, you end up coming a little bit further out of the knees. The knees come a little bit further out, nearer the elbows. The thing is that often we need to start here because it's easier and that gives us the confidence to move further rather than trying to do the triceps and keep falling off all the whole time. So the pose that I'm going to teach, I'm going to bring my knees slightly out, is where we come forward and then we lift up and we lift the feet and we hold the balance, something like this. And then I'm going to break that down for you because some people try for ages. Remember, like any other pose, any other posture, it's a practice. And, you know, if you were learning to play the guitar, you wouldn't expect to play it perfectly after 5 lessons. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring some props and show you how you can come into this pose with a little bit of ease. Remember that the first thing you need to do is convince yourself, the mind, that the body is going to do it. A lot of this is nothing about whether you're able or not. It is about whether you think you're able. So I've taken a couple of beautifully folded blankets, probably the most organized thing in my life, those 2 blankets, because everything else is not really that organized. And I'm going to presume that your body is warm. If not, just pause, press me off for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, do a couple of rounds of sun salutation A and sun salutation B, or just make sure that the body is warm, particularly the back, the belly. And I don't mean just by getting hair dryer and going, oh yeah, that's warm now. I mean by moving your body and make sure you're warm. I always like to do a few little stretches, little breath work before I come into this, just to stretch through. So my heels are coming in, and then as I exhale, I'm taking them down. Heels are coming in, head coming down. Just making sure. I also find that this is a bit of a distraction as well. So I work with the breath. I think of inhale, lift up. Exhale, come down. No, I'm not being crazy, just how I like to work things. Then when I come forward, the body's actually ready for this pose, and I distract myself with the busyness of the last pose. I'm going to take this blanket because basically what stops people doing this pose is the fear factor. I'm going to bring my head into this. The head and the body are now a cantilever. So I'm almost coming down into a little headstand, squeezing the belly up, pushing down into the hands, into the elbows, and pulling into the serratus anterior muscle here. That anyone who's done my classes knows what these are because I mention this little finger muscle all the time. This is the key to all of our balances. It uplifts through the body. It's never through the head. It's never just in the hands. I'm going to take you through that again. You can also take it with a break. So all I'm doing is just saying, okay, I don't want my head to face plant, don't want to squish my face up. Well, but the thing is if you come to any balance, just like if you were riding a bicycle, you are going to fall. You just have to get back up again. Enjoy your pose here. So the first thing, heels. So I'm imagining I'm wearing some very high kinky boots, come up to my thighs. They're glittery and spangly, my ones, and in the colour bright blue, but yours can take any colour that you want. Again, we're going to lean forward, and I'm going to think about bringing my head down onto this. Maybe it's already there, and then maybe I want to lift one foot and bring it down, and maybe lift the other foot and bring it down. And I would just work there for a while, building enough strength. You might even want 2 bricks on there before you begin. We can see that it is take focus, and it is a lot of energy to work. Another way to do this is to take the brick underneath the feet. In this way, the bottom and the head is already lifted. And so we can take, again, the legs, I like to have a little froggy pose here. And then I'm going to wear my even higher high heels. Things that yogis never really very wear because they like their long, straight, flat, or slightly lifted shoes. So I'm going to put my high heels on. I'm going to bring the weight forward. Hands come about the distance of your elbow forward. So again, we're working on the geometry of the body. So there's no point in the hands are here, because then we've got so much more weight to. So the hands have to be relative to the size of your torso. Usually the body is made this way, but if you've got exceptionally long arms, thinking about bringing them in. And remember, when joints, just like buildings are stacked, we have joint over joint, we have columns which are in straight lines, not bendy. So if we do bend, we tend to think of nice right angles. So the wrist and the elbow become in line. From here we lift the head, and maybe again we think of one foot coming up and maybe the other foot coming up. And maybe we try that 5, 10, 500 million times and we still fall flat on our face. We just keep going. We just keep going. Another exercise that can work into this is chaturanga, of course, because again we're building the arm strength. And if you're struggling on the chaturanga, as a little exercise which also work for plank, is you can take these half chaturangas. So, or half basically press ups, although I don't like to use press up because it gets people scary, but give it a nice name like chaturanga. Then it sometimes doesn't seem so scary. So you could do, I don't know, 5, 10, 3, how many you can manage of those, just to build the muscles up and just keep working at it. Again, you can take a break, belt and braces. I think the hardest thing is to come up onto balance on these bricks, to be honest. Take your hands down, lift your bum high, believe in yourself. You know, this is the key to most of life, is confidence. Without arrogance, let the ego go. It doesn't matter if you get the pose or not. And remember, this pose is about not just dropping the head, but actually keeping the head forward. So if you imagine your head is 5 kilos, I gave someone 5 kilos with it. It's a lot of weight. So which is also balanced into the weight of your kind of your pelvis and the, you know, the head and the skull and the brain, everything is 5 kilos. It's also similar to the weight of your pelvis, usually, depending on the weight of your head and the weight of your pelvis, of course. The skeleton, you know, so we're going to think about these balancing these two spheres, the circle that is the hips that allows us to move. As we inhale, we lift up, we look forward. Don't think of what my feet doing, are they lifting up? Lift forward, and then these incrementally is going to change the balance within you. If you start moving the head, it's going to start moving the balance. You can see how my feet move or my head move. And then we can come down. If you get to that stage and you want to learn the jump back bit, I'll put that on the next one. Okay, bye for now. Enjoy.